Good morning. What would you do for your wife? Yeah. You got to do what you're told. Okay, if you don't have a wife, just pretend you do for a minute. Let's call her Katerina. You are a loving partner to your loving wife, Katerina, and your wife wants you to do something for her. How much is too much? How much is too little? Is there anything you wouldn't do for your darling wife who you love more than you even knew was possible? Oh, I forgot to add, your wife is pregnant. You thought you couldn't love her anymore. Now she's carrying your baby. You are overflowing with love. Is there anything you wouldn't do for this lady right now? Surely if she had any little pregnancy craving, it would simply be your pleasure to see that she could have it. Anything at all. Well, your wife does have a craving. Now, Katerina isn't craving pickles or ice cream. No, she wants something a little bit more complicated. She's craving ox tongue. You know how much she loves ox tongue. And she's pregnant with your baby. This lady that you love even more than Romeo loved Juliet. So you would be happy to go out and get her some ox tongue, right? Of course. Well, it's a little messier than that, I'm afraid. You see, you're a ranch hand, a cowboy, if you will. And she wants to eat the tongue of the ranch's finest, most prized bull. Would you do it? No. Who'd tell Katerina to get stuffed? Stick to ice cream. Who'd go and do it? Wow. Well, Pai Francisco, the actual husband of Katerina, devoted and slightly terrified of her unusual pregnancy craving, panics, and then he does the unthinkable. He sneaks in and he kills the ranch owner's favorite bull, slices off the tongue, and serves it up to his wife, as any truly loving husband would. Right? But word gets out and the boss is furious. They're shouting, there's guilt, there's probably a very awkward dinner conversation. And the community is outraged too, not just at the crime, but at the spiritual weight of it. The bull is no ordinary animal. It's sacred. Killing it isn't just a bad idea, it's practically a sin. So what to do? Well, the community calls upon a priest and a shaman to try and resurrect the bull. And to cut a long story short, with the assistance of some musicians, some dancers, some circus performers like Leanne, the bull rises. Everyone rejoices. Pai Francisco is forgiven, and the community erupts into a massive celebration with music, dance, and general mayhem. And every year, in June, the people of Parintins come together to retell that story. Each year, a little more colorful than the year before, a little louder, a little wilder. For 3 days every June, this is all anyone is talking about. And for the rest of the year, this is all they're thinking about too. 2 camps compete against each other in a 35,000-seat stadium that is shaped like a bull's head. It's a huge deal. So today, I want to take you behind the scenes of the Boi-Bumbá festival, possibly the most remote festival on the planet, to show you how it all came together. Now, it might come as a surprise, given the somewhat raucous nature of the Boi-Bumbá festival, Parintins' answer to carnival, that it has religious roots. Back in the 20th century, before it became a massive tourist attraction, Boi-Bumbá performances were informal community events dedicated to São João Bautista, St. John the Baptist. And they were arranged by people who had made promessas to St. John, seeking recovery from illnesses or seeking other personal favors. And fulfilling these vows that they'd made often involved organizing celebrations or performances in honor of the saint. And they wouldn't do it on their own. These weren't solo performances. They'd get a group together. And that led to the formation of various Boi-Bumbá groups in Parintins. But there were two that became, well, there's no other way to put it. There were two that became massive. Boi Garantido and Boi Caprichoso. And in the modern festival, it's these two camps that compete against each other. And everyone in Parintins is either red or blue, Garantido or Caprichoso. Now, for a while, those in Camp Caprichoso wouldn't even drink Coca-Cola because it came in a red bottle. So Coke now comes in two color options in Parintins. I told you this was a big deal. Anyway, let's roll back the clock and discover the roots of these two passionately battling camps. Boi Garantido, the red camp, owes its formation to a promesa made by Lindolfo Monteverde, a fisherman and a farmer born here in January the 2nd, 1902. And as a child, Lindolfo fell gravely ill, and in his distress, he made a promesa to Chao Bautista that if he recovered, he would organize an annual Boi-Bumbá festival to honor the saint. And he did regain his health. And so, true to his word, he created Boi Garantido in 1913 at the age of just 11. He chose the name Garantido, meaning guaranteed, as a reflection of his confidence in his own resilience and strength of spirit. And Boi Garantido is symbolized by a white bull with a red heart on its forehead, hence the red team in the modern festival. But there's a blue team too. Where do they come from? Out of town, actually. In the same year, 1913, three brothers, Raimundo, Pedro, and Felix Cid, who originally came from Crato in the state of Ceará, founded Boi Caprichoso. They were inspired by a Boi-Bumbá performance named Caprichoso that they'd witnessed in Manaus, and they were motivated to make their own promesa and establish a similar group in honor of Chao Bautista in their community. And so they founded Boi Caprichoso in the Travessa Sá Peixoto neighborhood. And their first performance featured a black bull adorned with a blue and white star on its forehead, and so the blue team was formed. Now, there has always been a little rivalry between these two groups, but their interactions were primarily celebratory rather than competitive, until 1966. And in 1966, the two groups were invited to participate in the second annual Parintins Folklore Festival to raise money for constructing the Cathedral of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Now, at that time, the champion was determined by audience applause, and this introduction of a competitively judged element just went to intensify the existing rivalry between these two groups. Over the years, the festival has evolved, gaining national prominence, attracting mainstream media attention, and now it's turned into one of the biggest folkloric festivals of its kind anywhere in the world. Let's open up the portal and we'll collect our final two Brazilian ports of call. Parintins is a small town on an island in the Amazon River. It's the sort of place most people wouldn't have heard of if it wasn't for that one huge festival that takes over the town every year. For the rest of the year, it's pretty quiet, people fish, the kids go to school, and life ticks on just like it does in any other small town around here. But there is a strong sense of local pride here, shaped by tradition, storytelling, and a good dose of friendly rivalry. Here is the tender pier area, and we'll be using a combination of our own tenders and local tenders as well. They both take roughly the same number of passengers. It's not a very convenient port for anybody who is wheelchair bound. So if you use a wheelchair and are not able to take a couple of steps, then unfortunately this is not a port for you. because coming off of these boats, even to get onto the tender pier, will require the use of some steps. But then you've got a concrete ramp that goes up to the main town. Now, in terms of facilities, there really aren't that many facilities attached to this port. As you exit the port area, there is a handicraft market area, so you can do some shopping very close to the port. There are all of about 2 taxis, but I still thought I'd leave the taxi symbol up there because 2 of you will be able to use them. You can double up 4 people. But then I put a bicycle. It's not technically a bicycle, but I couldn't find an icon for a tricycle. Anyway, they have these things called triciclos here. You might call them a tuk-tuk or a pedicab. And that's the most common form of public transport. You would ride around in one of these. What it is there's a cyclist behind you, and you're sitting on a wooden bench in front of them, like cargo. And they will cycle you around. If you want to do that, and it's good fun, it's an excellent way to see the place, negotiate your time and price before you set off, because you want to know exactly what you're going to be paying and just have it cleared out. But actually, this is a wonderful way of seeing the whole place, because it's not a huge town, but in order to see everything you might want to see, it then takes a lot of walking, zigzagging between things. So let's get into our top 10 of what you might want to see after our map, which shows you roughly how it looks. It's a short tender ride in. The rowing boat is where the tender is. And then it's a 10-minute walk into town. So it's pretty close by. All right. So the Parintins Mercado Municipal isn't just where you buy your dinner. It's where you get a real feel for local life. This is housed in a 1937 riverfront building. It's part grocery store, it's part meeting place, it's part sensory overload inside. And you'll find stalls stacked with Amazonian fish, fruit you've never seen before, herbal remedies that the locals swear by. There's always something sizzling, whether it's tapioca crepes, strong coffee, more cake than anyone really needs. And just outside, you usually find local artisans selling handmade crafts as well. It's busy, it's friendly, it is a little bit chaotic, but it is in the best possible way. Very, very close to the ship as Henders. Now, there's no mystery about how Praia do Cristo Redentor got its name. There is a statue of Christ the Redeemer perched right on the top of this tall modernist tower. It is quite clearly not the statue from Rio, of course, but it gives the place a bit of grandeur. But that's not the square's actual name. The name Praia Digital is what you'd find on the map. Praia Digital, where that name came from is anyone's guess. Wi-Fi? A government project? Who knows? What is certain is that this little plaza, which is high above the river, is a great spot to take a breather. Locals come here to catch the breeze and watch the boats go by. It's slow, it's steady, it's very much on Amazon time. Good for a photograph. So even though we're visiting Parintins outside of the Boi-Bumbá festival, you can still experience the essence of the event in a couple of different ways. Some of you will be booked to go on to see a mini performance of dancers, singers, and musicians that give you a sense of the festival. That's only available on a Holland America Line shore excursion. But if you're not going to see that performance, you can marvel at previous year's floats called allegories, and you can see them from the street outside the workshops of the 2 camps. So this workshop in the photo is owned by the Boi Caprichoso, the Blue Association. And a similar workshop of the Garantido, the red team, is available to see on the other side of town, closer to the waterfront. Very, very interesting. Sometimes, I can't promise this, but sometimes people have been able to go inside. If you can go inside, even better, but that's no guarantee. In Parintins, team loyalty runs so deep, it even changes the color of Coke. Locals are either red for Boi Garantido or blue for Caprichoso. And during the festival season, that rivalry takes over everything. Shops, clothes, decorations, you name it. If you wear purple tomorrow, you are a wimp. Don't wear purple in Parintins. Pick a color, any color. So when Coca-Cola realized that Caprichoso fans were avoiding their classic red branding, they did something clever, and they made blue Coke cans just for Parintins. And you will spot blue Coca-Cola signs all over the town, especially when you're in Caprichoso territory. It's one of those quirky local details that really says a lot. Here, tradition doesn't just shape the festival, it can go as far as shaping what you drink. Praça São Benedito is one of the oldest and most historic squares in Parintins. It's home to a small but much loved church of São Benedito. It's a place that holds deep spiritual and cultural meaning for the locals. And this is where many of the town's traditional processions begin, especially during the festival of St. Benedict, which happens next month in April. Now, the square itself is pretty quiet for most of the year. It's got some benches which are shaded by trees, maybe some local kids riding their bikes around in the afternoon heat. It's a simple place, but it's another one that says a lot about Parintins, faith, community, and a rhythm of life that just doesn't need rushing. Now, Kural Zeka Gibelau is the beating heart of Boi Caprichoso, the blue team. This is where the magic begins each year. Music, costumes, choreography, all of the behind-the-scenes energy that powers Parintins' biggest show. This is part rehearsal space, part sacred ground for Caprichoso fans. And it is named after a beloved local supporter, Zika Gibelau. The chorale just comes alive in the lead up to the festival. It's packed with drummers and dancers and blue-clad devotees. There is nothing polished or touristy about this. It is raw, it's real, it's full of heart. And if you want to understand Caprichoso, skip the stage and come here, because this is where their bull finds its spirit. And this is the cathedral, the Catedral Nossa Senhora de Carmo, the main church in Parintins and a central part of local life. It's not huge and flashy, but it is full of charm. It's also full of stories, because this place was built in the early 1960s, partly funded by the first official folklore festivities. They were organized to help raise money for this church's construction. Inside, it's cool, it's peaceful, pretty simple stained glass, wooden pews. Locals come here to pray, reflect, sometimes just to escape the heat. But during festival time, it's another hub of activity. The bells ring out, the square in front fills up, and the town gathers here once again. But this is the real center of the festivities. The Bombodromo is Parintins' arena of dreams and rivalry. It was built in 1988, a 35,000-seat open-air stadium designed specifically for the Festival de Boi-Bumbá. And it's where Boi Garantido and Boi Caprichoso go head-to-head against each other every June in a theatrical showdown of music, of dance, and of these dazzling floats. And the stage is shaped like a bull's head, because of course it is. The crowd is split down the middle, and you've got the red on one side, and you've got the blue on the other side. There is no mixing allowed. There is no switching sides allowed. It's loud, electric, it is deeply emotional. For the locals, performing here isn't just entertainment. It's pride, it's tradition, and it's years of preparation coming to life. And it is so funny to watch one of these festivals happening. You've got this monumental stadium, and half of the stadium is cheering and loud and going wild because their team is performing, and the other half are dead silent. And then, after about 2 hours, they swap over, and the other half go wild and crazy and screaming, and this side, deadly silent. And they won't make any noise for the opposite team. There's no generosity of spirit when the other side is performing. because audience reaction is one of the things that they're judged on. So you don't want to lend any accidental points to the enemy. Just in case anybody thinks that I've spent too much time with the blue team, let's talk about Cidade Garantido. So this is the stronghold of Boi Garantido, Parintins' other beloved bull, decked out in red and full of passion. And it's where the Garantido performers rehearse, plan, and build their magic that then lights up the Bombodromo each year. There is a museum, a stage, often live music just echoing through the grounds. And locals say that this one has a more traditional grassroots feel compared to its rival. But don't let the relaxed vibe fool you. When the festival comes around, Cidade Garantido turns up the energy to 11. Alrighty, here they are on a map for you to have a look at where they are together. And you can see that even though it's a small town, the furthest one's only 2 or so kilometers away. If you want to see them all, the pedicab is the best way to do it, because it's going to be hot, it's going to be humid, and if you walked between all of them, you would be walking probably somewhere around 10 kilometers. All right, let's continue on to Untitled Chapter. Wow. Untitled Chapter, small, laid back village on the banks of the Caprichoso River. There are about 7,000 residents in the area. It's got a very local feel. It's home to a mix of Caprichoso river families, Borari indigenous people, and a community of Brazilians that were drawn here by the region's deep spiritual connection to nature. This is not a place packed with big tourist attractions or tour buses, thankfully. This is the kind of place where you wander barefoot on river beaches, you chat with locals in the square in a language that you don't speak, or you explore the nearby Caprichoso National Forest. It's quiet, genuine, and a rare glimpse into Amazon life unfiltered. And this might be what the tender platform looks like. I say might because it's very relaxed here. If there is a better spot, we end up taking the better spot. If there is not even this good, then we take what we can get. And so that is why, again, I have put a red symbol here for those of you who are not able to walk something like that, then this is going to be a very challenging port. Even some of the roads here aren't really roads. And so it's very, very different. It's a fascinating opportunity to see real life, but a little bit more challenging. On a map, we are going to be tendering into somewhere around that top corner, wherever is the best for our time in port. And you can see that you could walk pretty much anywhere within roughly 10 minutes or so. There is one bus stop in town. It leaves. And then the tender ride is relatively short as well. So all in all, it's actually a very convenient port. And I think for some people, this is going to be one of the most memorable ports because it is just so different. I'm not going to be able to do a whole top 10 here, but I can give you 5. So there's no question, Ilha do Amor is the star attraction in Untitled Chapter. And despite its name, it's not technically an island, but it's a sandbar that pops up between the Caprichoso River and Lago Verde. And locals and visitors come here to relax, to swim, to eat grilled fish, and to soak up the Amazon sun. And it's right across from the village promenade, so you can get there by canoe in about 20 seconds. If the water's low, you just follow the locals and wade across. It's simple, it's beautiful, it's totally unpretentious. And that is just the way that Alto do Chão likes to keep things. I would recommend, not just here actually, but if you're ever going in the water in any of the upcoming ports in the Amazon, to wear water shoes. There are stingrays in some of these waters. They will only bother you if you step on them. So a lot of people prefer to shuffle when you're walking here, because you can't always see, it's a little bit muddy, you've probably noticed that outside. But if you shuffle through the water and you're wearing water shoes, then you'll be absolutely fine. But it is a good idea to wear some shoes in the water here. Let's go shopping, shall we? Yes, they have a shop. If you're after something more meaningful than just a fridge magnet, then Arariba Cultura Indigena is the place to go. I am going to be having an absolute ball in this shop. This shop in Alto do Chão has the largest collection of authentic indigenous art from across the Amazon. We're talking ceramics, textiles, masks, jewelry, furniture, even traditional costumes, all sourced from about 80 indigenous communities. So when you go in, it's sort of a part gallery, part cultural archive. It's fully worth the visit, and you can get an amazing keepsake from our time here. Everything has a story, and it is a really great way to support indigenous artisans directly. Whether you are shopping for a keepsake, whether you're just curious, this place offers a deeper look at the creativity and traditions of Amazon's first peoples. Praça Central. This is the heart of Alto do Chão. It is a small, shady square where life just ticks along at a gentle pace. It's where locals gather in the evening, kids kick around footballs, visitors grab a seat to watch it all unfold. You'll find a few casual cafes around this square, some souvenir stalls, the usual mix of dogs and hammocks and music drifting through the air. Again, it's not polished, it's not fancy, but that's the point. This is where you feel the village rhythm, slow, warm, and very welcoming. If you want to understand Alto do Chão, then start here by sitting on a bench in the square. Serra da Ibitira Paroca might have a name that gets a few laughs, but the view from the top is no joke. This small hill just outside Alto do Chão offers one of the best panoramic views in the whole region, stretching over the Tabachos River, Lago Verde, the white sands of Ilha do Amor, and it's about a 30-minute uphill hike. It's not too difficult, but it's definitely sweaty in the Amazon heat, so bring water. Also, you can bring snacks off here. So if you've got snack bars that's going to give you energy, there are no restrictions on you bringing them off in these ports. The name comes from the local indigenous language, and it refers to the shape of the hill. It's peaceful, it's scenic, it's a great excuse to get out and stretch your legs. If you're wondering why I said that some people might laugh at the name, in modern Brazilian Portuguese, piroca is slang for male genitalia. Ibitira translates to hill or rocky elevation, so to some people, this is now Penis Hill. And that's why they laugh. Finally, one of the best ways to explore Alto do Chão is by getting out on the water, and there's no engine required. Kayaks and paddleboards are easy, and you can rent them right from the main beach. They're a great way to cruise across to Ilha do Amor or around the calm waters of Lago Verde. The current in this area is gentle, the scenery is stunning, and you can take it all at your own pace. Early mornings are especially peaceful. There's bird song, there's those mirror-like reflections on the river. It's relaxing, it's easy for beginners, and it's a quiet way to see the Amazon from a new angle. And there they are on a map. If you're wondering, how would you drive to number 4? Because I suggested that you drive there and then you walk up the hill. You would drive around, because these two areas are actually connected to each other. It looks from this level of zooming on the map that they are separated, but they're not. The land continues and wraps around, so there is a road that you can take. So let's come back to where we started, to Pai Francisco and his pregnant wife, Katrina, and a rather unfortunate bull. Because at the heart of it all, this enormous festival, the floats, the stadium, the fierce competition between red and blue, what we're really talking about is a story. And not just any story, one that everyone in Parintins knows by heart. One that has been told and retold for generations, growing more elaborate, more colourful, and somehow more meaningful with every passing year. And that's the thing about stories. They're never just entertainment. They're how people make sense of the world, of love, of loyalty, mistakes, redemption. They help us find connection, even in the middle of the Amazon, even when the subject is a stolen ox tongue. Boi-Bumbá isn't just this part of Brazil's answer to Carnival. It's something much more personal than that. It's a promise kept. It's a vow honored. A celebration that starts as a quiet prayer and ends in a 35,000-seat stadium with dancers, drummers, and bulls that rise from the dead. It's also a reminder that traditions aren't born fully formed. They start as small, scrappy acts of devotion. A fisherman called Lindolfo who survived an illness and made good on his promise to St. John. 3 brothers from out of town wanting to bring a bit of their own culture into a new place. There's nothing corporate about it. There's nothing polished. Even now, behind the glitter and the sound systems, this is still a festival that's made by hand, by carpenters, seamstresses, dancers, singers, and puppet makers like the late Jair Mendes, who, well, his imagination alone helped reshape what was possible on a float. These are artists, storytellers, and craftspeople all rolled into one. And what do they get for all their effort? 3 days of glory. 3 days of music and mud and magic. 3 days when everything feels like it's on the line, and then it's over, and the town goes quiet again until next year. There's something strangely beautiful about that, about building something so big just that it can disappear, about throwing your whole self into a performance that's never really finished, because the next year it starts again and the story gets another twist. It's something very human.